Across the European continent, there are approximately 31 million Muslims, accounting for just over 5% of the population. Large migration flows, both regular and irregular, along with higher birth rates among Muslims, have led to the steady growth of Islam in Europe. In fact, in the final bonus, we'll dive into some interesting predictions about the presence of Islam in Europe by 2050. In this video, we'll explore the top 10 countries with the highest Muslim population percentages. Excluding transcontinental countries like Turkey, Europe already has 3 nations where Muslims are the majority due to historical and cultural reasons. However, we will focus on those nations where Islam is growing but remains a minority. Welcome to this new Amazing Europe video. Number 10. Switzerland. In 1960, Switzerland had only 2,700 Muslims, but today that number has skyrocketed to almost 400,000, representing about 5.5% of the population. This dramatic increase is due to a combination of historical and social factors that have radically transformed the country's religious landscape. It all began in the 60s when Switzerland's economy was booming, and there was a high demand for labor. Migrant workers from Turkey, Bosnia, and Kosovo arrived in large numbers, attracted by job opportunities in industries and construction. Initially, these migrants came alone, but in 1991, after liberalization of migration policies, they were allowed to bring their families. This led to not only an increase in the Muslim population but also strengthened the social and cultural fabric of the community. But migration isn't the only factor behind Islam's growth in Switzerland. The number of conversions has also increased. It is estimated that about 2–3% of Swiss Muslims are converts, predominantly young people attracted to Islam after meeting Muslim friends or exploring the religion independently. Travel, reading, and personal discoveries are often cited as reasons behind these conversions. Number 9. United Kingdom. In the UK, the Muslim population has soared in recent decades. In 2001, there were about 1.5 million, but by 2021, that number had risen to 4 million, marking a staggering 160% increase in just 20 years. This boom is mainly due to immigration and higher birth rates within Muslim communities, making Islam the second most practiced religion in the country, accounting for 6% of the total population. London is the heart of the British Muslim community, with 15% of residents identifying as Muslim. In some areas, like the London borough of Tower Hamlets, Muslims make up as much as 40% of the population. The capital's cultural diversity is evident, and the Muslim community plays a central role in the city's social, cultural, and economic life. A significant event for UK Muslims was the election of Sadiq Khan as London's mayor in 2016. The son of Pakistani immigrants, Khan became the first Muslim mayor of a major European capital, symbolizing the growing political representation of the Muslim community in the country. However, Islam remains a minority, with strong concentrations in major cities. Northern Ireland has the smallest Muslim population in the country, just 0.6%. Number 8. Germany. Germany is another emblematic example of how the Muslim population is rapidly growing in Europe. Currently, an estimated 6.5% of the German population is Muslim, around 5.5 million people. Of these, approximately 3 million have acquired German citizenship. One distinctive feature of the Muslim community in Germany is its young median age, around 32 years old, compared to the national median of 44. This is partly due to the immigration of young families and the higher birth rates within Muslim households. In fact, the average family size among Muslims in Germany is 3.6 people, compared to 2.0 in the national average. The Muslim community in Germany has deep roots, with a significant presence of immigrants from Turkey, the result of bilateral labor agreements between the two countries in the 60s. Today, around 45% of Muslims in Germany have Turkish origins, making the Turkish community one of the largest and most influential in the country's cultural and religious landscape. Religiously, Muslims in Germany are very active. Around 40% pray daily, and 30% of Muslim women wear the veil. Number 7. Belgium. In 2019, Brussels registered an interesting fact: Mohammed was the most common name in the city, and the third most common name was Muhammad, spelled with a double M. This reflects the strong presence of the Muslim community in Belgium, which is hard to quantify precisely. The latest 2018 survey indicated that 6.8% of Belgium's residents identify as Muslim, but more recent estimates suggest that the percentage could be as high as 7.6%. In Brussels, there are 26 officially recognized mosques, but other estimates indicate that the total number could reach 80, including those not officially recognized. According to the government, these could potentially be a problem, as they host preachers from abroad who may spread more radical ideas. A 2021 law introduced in Flanders aimed to combat this phenomenon, but it was partially overturned by Belgium's constitutional court. In any case, the presence of these mosques is a sign of the deep-rooted Islamic tradition in the capital, which has seen steady growth over recent decades, thanks also to migration from countries like Morocco and Turkey. Islam in Belgium is expressed not only through religious practice but also in social and cultural contexts. In addition to places of worship, there are numerous schools, cultural associations, and Islamic centers. Number 6. Sweden. Sweden has witnessed a rapid growth of its Muslim population, rising from just 15 members in the 30s to over 800,000 today, representing about 8.1% of the population. This growth is mainly linked to migration flows, with arrivals from Turkey, Bosnia, Syria, and Somalia, among others. Most are of Arab origin, primarily from Iraq. The second largest group consists of migrants and refugees from the former Yugoslavia, especially Bosnians and Kosovars. The Muslim community in Sweden is diverse and well established, with over 100,000 people of Turkish origin making up a significant portion of this population. Islam's presence in Sweden is not limited to religious practice, it has also influenced the country's political and social life. A notable example was in 2018, when a politician of Turkish origin founded an Islamic-inspired party. The first mosque founded in Sweden was the Nazir Mosque in Gothenburg, which belongs to the Ahmadiyya community, of Indian origin. Interestingly, followers of this community are not considered Muslim by other Muslim groups and are barred from holding public office and teaching positions in Pakistan. Shortly after its founding, this community was persecuted by other Islamic denominations for preaching a non-violent version of Islam. Number 5. Austria. In 2021, the census recorded that nearly 750,000 Muslims live in Austria, accounting for 8.3% of the population, a rise from 6.2% in 2009. This significant increase is mainly due to immigration, initially during the 60s and 70s, when Turkey and Bosnia were major sources of foreign labor. Today, however, most Muslims in Austria are Austrian citizens. The two largest communities are Turkish and Bosnian, with the former representing 21% of all Muslims in the country, while Bosnians make up 10%. The Islamic presence in Austria is reflected not only in the number of Muslims but also in the numerous places of worship and cultural centers. In 2021, the government identified 620 mosques and Islamic centers spread across the country. These are not just places of prayer but also community centers offering educational and social services to Muslim families. Number 4. France. Islam is the second largest religion in France, practiced by about 10% of the population. According to the National Institute of Statistics, 51% of the French do not adhere to any religion, while 29% identify as Catholic, making Islam a significant component of the national religious landscape. According to the Pew Research Center, Islam will be the fastest-growing religion in France in the coming decades, with Muslims expected to grow by another 8% by 2050. France has a long history of immigration from Muslim-majority countries, particularly in North Africa, which has led to a growing Islamic presence in the country. Paris, Marseille, and Lyon are just a few cities that host well-established Muslim communities. However, the secular nature of the French state, a key constitutional principle, has posed some challenges. The country has enacted laws regulating the use of religious symbols in public. This ban applies to all religions and, in Islam's case, includes the veil in schools and sporting events. For instance, French female athletes have been banned from wearing the hijab at the 2024 Olympics, drawing criticism from Muslim organizations and even the UN. What do you think of these measures? Number 3. Bulgaria. Bulgaria is one of the European nations with the highest percentage of Muslims, accounting for 10.8% of the population. This strong presence is tied to the country's history, as Bulgaria was part of the Ottoman Empire for nearly 5 centuries, from 1396 to 1878. During this period, a portion of the Bulgarian population converted to Islam, and many Turkish-origin Muslims settled in what is now Bulgaria. Therefore, the majority of Muslims living in Bulgaria today have not recently immigrated but have been Bulgarians for hundreds of years. Despite living under Muslim rule for almost 5 centuries, isolated from the rest of the Christian world, Bulgarians managed to preserve their traditions and culture as a Christian nation. Today, Bulgarian Muslims are called Pomaks, descendants of Bulgarians who converted to Islam during Ottoman rule. Added to them are Bulgarian Turks and a significant percentage of Roma, about 30% of whom identify as Muslim. These groups form a Muslim community of around 640,000 people. On this map, you can see the percentage of Muslims in various Bulgarian provinces. As you can see, Muslims primarily live in the southern and northeastern regions of the country. Number 2, Montenegro. Montenegro hosts one of the highest percentages of Muslims in Europe, with around 130,000 people representing 20.3% of the population. The large presence of Islam in Montenegro is partly due to the fact that a significant portion of the country was under Ottoman rule. This led to some conversions to Islam, and the descendants of these converts still live in the country today. However, most Muslims in Montenegro are of Bosniak and Albanian ethnicity. As we mentioned at the beginning of the video, Albania and Bosnia and Herzegovina are 2 of the 3 European nations where the majority of the population is Muslim. In this map, you can see the distribution of Muslims in Montenegro. As you can see, the areas with the highest Muslim presence border Albania and Kosovo, which is also Muslim majority. Despite religious diversity, Montenegro is today considered an example of peaceful coexistence among different religious communities. In fact, Montenegro has seen the development of initiatives aimed at promoting the inclusion of Muslim women in public life. One example is the opening of the first beach reserved exclusively for women wearing the veil, which took place in June 2024. Before revealing number 1, if you found this video informative, we kindly ask you to give it a like. In fact, when this video reaches 400 likes, we will publish one on the European countries where Islam is least present. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, it would greatly help us spread the word about our project. Thank you very much. Number 1, North Macedonia. In North Macedonia, there seems to be a balance between Muslims and the rest of the country, although sometimes delicate. The Muslim presence in North Macedonia has deep roots tied to the history of the Ottoman Empire but is also due to more recent factors. In fact, 75% of Muslims in North Macedonia are of Albanian ethnicity, 13% are Turkish, and a small group of Macedonian and Slavic origin Muslims. These latter are called Torbeshi, descendants of Christian Slavs from the geographical region of Macedonia, who were later Islamized during Ottoman rule. Although North Macedonia is the European nation with the highest percentage of Muslims, it is one of the few where Islam has decreased over time. At the beginning of the last century, Muslims made up almost 37% of the population, while today they are 32.2%. Interestingly, the percentage of Muslims in North Macedonia steadily declined over time, reaching its lowest levels in the 70s. However, it began to rise again. The increase is due to the high fertility rate among Muslim families. The strength of Muslims in this nation, and others as well, has been in having many children. This trend contrasts with other populations in the region, where birth rates have decreased. But how much will Islam grow in Europe in the coming years? The Pew Research Center has conducted a study on this and proposed 3 very interesting scenarios. In the first scenario, it shows how much the Muslim population would increase if immigration to Europe were to stop. In this case, Muslims are expected to rise from 5% of the European population to 7.4% by 2050. The second scenario considers the growth of Muslims if only legal immigration were to continue. In this case, by 2050, Muslims would make up 11.2% of Europe's population. The third, and most realistic scenario, shows the growth of the Muslim population in Europe if both legal and illegal immigration were to continue as it has so far. In this case, Muslims would make up 14% of the population by 2050. Since the growth of Islam in Europe is closely tied to immigration, we remind you that we have made several videos on this topic on our channel. For example, you can find a video on the 10 European countries with the most illegal immigrants by clicking on the top right. That's all for this video. See you next time.